To snipehunter's victory last year was the ability for Quantal to be relied upon here, and we will see indeed how these players play out this year in the grand final of the Master Duel category of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2024. Snipehunters taking on Team 7.
Sequel in Seattle, it's on the move.
Looks like we are starting off by watching Josh versus Ryan. Opening with a bonfire, getting immediately Ash Blossomed with that alternate artwork. Just in case you wondered.
Thank you. And again, this is kind of symptomatic of the Fire King Snake Eye duelist not wanting to use anything but the Fire King Snake Eye just because of the immense power of that deck right now.
And it turns out the bonfire was completely unnecessary. We already had the copy of Snake Eye Ash in hand. We're going to go for the Poplar, the original Sinful Spoils. I think we've seen this a few times.
I think that it's very interesting using the Ash on the bonfire because...
That was an Oak from hand, by the way. I just wanted to point that out. Ash summon Oak from hand. Kind of interesting.
A lot of monsters on the side of Ryan Yu.
Yeah.
Without a negation now, you have to imagine for the Ponix or for the Fire King Island, does mean that if Ryan can find either of those, the Fire King parts of this Fire King Snake Eye deck could very well come online pretty soon.
Okay, we do see the Flame Bridge hitting the board here. Now we have access to Oak and Ash and Poplar in the graveyard on the crackback. We've talked about it many times. Flame Bridge being so good at not only helping you combo off on the first turn, but also giving you a ton of resilience against your opponent's plays, because on their turn you're going to trigger all these effects as well.
Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf showing you that there are more Link 2s aside from SP Little Knight.
Absolutely. Will be summoned to its position and get an add back. I think right now there isn't actually a good way to do that, so we might be able to sequence this in a way where we can actually put a fire in the grave to trigger this effect. I believe the Link Kribo is then going to add something back. Our grave right now, I think, is just Flamebridge Oak, correct? Maybe? Adding back that Oak.
One thing I've been noticing is as Team 7 Ryan is continuing to combo and go straight, I mean, unopposed in his full combos. I've seen Josh has been looking at his teammates' computer over and over and maybe saying he's got nothing in his hand, he's going to let him build a combo, and then just kind of maybe commentating on how his friends are doing and how his other teammates are performing. Just let it all unfold, and then when it's my turn, I'll deal with it. Let's see if I can help where I can.
Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess now coming out to further reinforce the monster effect negation. So if Josh is indeed playing Fire King Snake Eye, the monster effects are going to get negated. And here we said the disruption, the Ash Blossom, it's been committed to the Snake Eye cards. So the Ponix, the Sanctuary, the Fire King Island should very well resolve here. And this looks very scary for Snipehunter's team captain.
And we can see here, I mean, we all know it, but Snake Eye Fire King is so resilient against interruptions. We did get ashed, no counter to it, didn't matter, and we were able to set up a 2-material Appaloosa before even committing the original Sinful Spoils.
And Ulcanix now resolving to summon the Garunix, and this looks really good for Ryan.
I mean, Control-C, Control-V, I agree with everything.
Destroying the Arvata in deck, triggering that effect to revive. Bring back the Ulcanix. And for a Link 2 here, let's see what we go for.
Is it going to grab the Charmer? No, IP Masquerena, okay.
Take the IP Masquerena, so we will probably be trying to find a way to Flame Bridge, or, yep, put that right in the grave. Got the Promethean Princess online, reviving the Arvata, giving us a monster negate. Well, 3 monster negates now with the Appaloosa negates.
And linking away the Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames to access the amphibious swarm ship Ambler Whale. We've seen so many end fields just being decided by the access to the Ambler Whale. Eventually, if you want to, the Salamangreat Raging Phoenix as well. Really, really promising.
Now you're dealing with those 3 negates, and then you have a plethora of things in the graveyard, comboed with the Ambler Whale, which can also destroy and bring stuff back. Ryan's in a really good position, but let's see, we're going to have a little bit of a mirror match here.
Yep, opening with the Fire King Island, a little bit worse than Sanctuary in Island, but it is what it is. Still a great card.
Okay, so Snipehunter's team captain Josh did take the Fire King Snake Eye mirror match challenge. He did not dare to pick Labyrinth against Ryan, who is widely considered to be one of the best Labyrinth duelists in the world. But regardless, these are 2 of the best duelists in the world. End of sentence. And it's really exciting to see where they go.
Yeah, I mean, when you are face down with the same board that you're potentially trying to build, you kind of know the ins and outs of it, so we'll see where we want to interrupt.
And the starters are going to struggle because the Appaloosa is there to negate the monster effects. It negates the ability to commit to the field in a similar manner, and actually we now have Arvata even joining in that chain.
Pretty important here because Appaloosa cannot use its effect more than once per chain, so by having the Arvata, we are able to negate 2 different monster effects all in the same sequence, stopping the Volcanics, stopping the Garunix in hand. This is a really good spot to be in. The Whale's going to trigger here, targeting the IP Masquerena to bring that back. We still have access to the Promethean Princess in the grave. The IP can go into SP or whatever. This seems like a very strong opening field.
Yeah, you have to imagine once the Appaloosa, the both goddess, is at 0 attack, but actually Called by the Grave is now coming through to stop that IP Masquerena from coming back, to stop it from... Oh, actually, sorry, that is on the Ambler Whale, I think.
Yes, yes.
Regardless, it does stop the IP Masquerena from coming back to the field.
I mean, depending what the set card is, I mean, he's gotten through a few negates and he's gotten through a few interrupts. We're going to see what the other 3 cards in his hand are. And
the Appaloosa being an 800 attack is not ideal. That's very easy to run over. We see the Diabell Star summoned here, sending the Fire King Island. So this is kind of interesting because the Diabell Star will still resolve, of course, but then the island will immediately send it to the grave. Oh, and we see, so now we've committed a ton of cards into this. The Diabell Star is going to get destroyed, and you don't even get the set for the original Sinful Spoils. That is a really rough position to be in.
That is definitely a high-impact imperm right there.
See the Divine Temple. Okay, Divine Temple is interesting. I don't know if we've seen this too much in the Fire King variants, or maybe they're just not drawing it or activating it. What do you think about it?
I think you mentioned even yesterday, towards the end of day 1, that we really hadn't seen Divine Temple of the Snake Eye in many of these decks. I think that it is a valid option to try and find some semblance of a way back into this game for Josh. But right now, you have to consider Ryan as being firmly in the lead in this game.
We're destroying the Kieran with the island. I mean, adding another Kieran, this seems not necessarily cut and dry, but it seems like Ryan is in a fantastic position, triggering all these Fire King effects in the graveyard. And while the Temple is on there and it could bring up the Snake Eyes Ash, do we really care about that when we have an Arvata and an Appaloosa negate? I don't think so.
Sacred Fire King Garunix now coming back from the graveyard. Where does Josh go from here?
Bringing back the original Garunix as well with the Kieran. I mean, how much damage is this on board? Chill, you're the quick math.
The quick math, that's going to be 27. Oh, they're saying that, so it's an extra 900.
21. I think that
is game.
Game on board already.
27 plus 27 plus 8 plus 18, I think was 8,000 exactly.
I don't think we have to do anything more.
Now we have more than 8,000.
Yeah,
we're going
this
up.
Is great. This was very handedly won by Ryan. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. You never know. There could be a battle fader. But this looks like Ryan has really taken control of this first game quite easily. Very strong start of a hand, but also really good sequencing with those early plays, making the Appaloosa before ever going into the original Sinful Spoils.
I mean, unfortunately, when you just draw Ash and you Ash the Bonfire and your opponent can full combo after that, that is, how do you break that board going second?
We are switching over to Ray versus Quantal. We are deep into a U-Bell versus Tier Limit matchup. Tier Limit not really having a lot on the board, just a Fenrir in defense mode and a couple back row, which I guess is fine in some situations, but the U-Bell player is going off. Ray is now going into the Unchained Soul of Anguish. What do you think is going to happen?
Unfortunately, nothing at the moment, because Forbidden Chalice was just dropped. Sending the Fenrir to the grave and unfortunately negating our little big Link 3.
And with that victory over Josh, Team 7 now take the lead thanks to Ryan, thanks to the team captain, and Snipe Hunters need to make a comeback if they're going to hold on to their world title.
So I don't know if I just saw that correctly, but I'm pretty sure did the Solic activate? Did I see that correctly?
No, I think you need to control a Tier Limit.
That's what I thought too, but I thought something activated. Oh, we do have
the Tier
Limits
Limits
board now,
Tira, which will put a Tier Limits on the board and
Yes.
potentially give us some more mills. Let's roll the dice. That's what Snipe Hunters is all about, right?
True enough.
We see the Maxi hitting the board. That is a big problem. You know, we've seen Maxi a number of times on the turn player's turn, and it might seem kind of random, but really stopping your opponent from trying to build up a board on your turn to defend themselves is great, and punishing them, I mean, we're going to get a draw here, but also if we mill any sort of fusion enabler, that also would potentially give us a draw too.
So, Chilled, I know you are a firm advocate for the U-Bell deck. We've
Absolutely.
seen opening of the Spirit Gates countless times now, Dark Beckoning Beast as well. Tell me how you would approach the matchup against Tier Limits.
Well, I mean, against Tier Limits, both of us are going to be pulling from the graveyard, so we have to worry about that going into it. You get Phantom of Yubel on the board, you're going to insulate yourself a little bit. You have the Sprite Elf, you can immediately try and put a Nightmare Ibli on the other side in terms of locking them out. I mean, tier elements aren't necessarily known for being super powerful into links.
I guess we'll see here. Speaking of links, we do have the Spirit of Yubel being linked off. Access code Talker potentially looking to end the game here.
We have seen this, I think, just 1 or 2 other times throughout this tournament. Access code Talker, you know, maybe it's not the best link for anymore, but it is one of the best for cleaning up duels. And with that 5300 attack, the ability to pop a whole bunch of cards, we might just be opening up for a game push.
Well, we still got to get to 8K.
Oh, right. We don't have access to the Nightmare Pain, so the Yubel won't be able to do extra damage. That's fair. Still pretty good control on the board, though.
Absolutely. I wish we knew what was in the graveyard that Sprite Elf could be pulling from. So hopefully we'll see that pop up on the opponent's turn.
Now, passing over to Quantal here, can the Tearlaments make it back? We've seen how resilient this deck can be. We've seen that the field does not matter so much as long as the graveyard is set up, as long as there's something in the hand. But we are going to swap over now to Emre versus Jesse Cotton. Another Tearlaments versus Centurion.
All right, so jumping into a pretty complicated board state here. Looks like we're resolving a whole bunch of graveyard effects, as you would expect Tearlaments to be doing. We are facing down 2 different Bystials. The Baldrake is going to be online, I'm assuming. Maybe it already used its effect, but it's hard to say. We also have the Baron de Floor. So I'll look at Rhino Heart, Chillman's Kashtira milling, 2 whiffs, basically. We got the Shiren effect.
Having access to the level 6 Bystials, really good again, because primarily the tuners for the Centurion are level 4, and then you can access the likes of your Baron de Fleur. But on the topic of extra deck monsters, we now have Tearlaments delving in, Primeval Planet Polar Rhino actually triggering as well.
I mean, we don't know the board state, but we have to assume has Baron been used already? That's something that
I guess so, considering it just got removed from the field.
Yep.
Yeah, either way, even if it hadn't been used, really difficult situation to put in because the Kit Kelos was always insulated from that negation effect.
Absolutely.
And negating the field spell is fine, but not really what you want to be doing. But obviously it would have been done
if it was
able to.
Field,
We're going to see the Fairy Tale Snow, a card that Jesse Cotton is very well known for loving. And we see that coming out from the graveyard, banishing 7 cards. Like I said, we just kind of jumped into this. Hard to say how many cards are in the graveyard, but we've seen a ton of things go from the field to the grave already. I bet there's a lot of cards in there, and we are targeting the Baldrake, which would be great because now the Baldrake is turned off, assuming that it had not used its effect already. We're going to activate that Kit Kelos effect, targeting itself, going for some more mills.
When the 7th cards are banished, did you see that a Dark Ruler did pop up? That's our first one we've seen.
I did not see that. Interesting.
A Dark Ruler has been banished in the banishment pile, but we have not seen one all weekend.
Oh, I did see Jesse mill the card destruction. If you guys were able to watch some of the replays from yesterday, there was a pretty crazy game where Jesse was able to discard, I believe, 15 cards out of his opponent's hand using card destruction. And also we see Ray has won his, so we are up 2-0 with Team 7. What's going to happen in this last one? It's hard to say. I think right now both players have some stuff on the board, but I think that Jesse is kind of in full control. We now are bringing the happy back to the board, and I think that Jesse is happy about that.
Happy.
Nice.
All right, we're going for a rank gate. Let's see what we got.
Zombie Vampire, you have to imagine, start the
Absolutely.
next graveyard filling.
Not really anything you're worried about hitting in the Centurion deck. You know, a little bit more dicey against mirror matches, but totally fine. And at this point, even if the Zombie Vampire misses on effects, even just putting more cards in the grave for Snow to banish is great.
Oh, we have a 3, we have a 7. Are we going to see ourselves a little Baron on this side?
Almost certainly, right?
Yeah.
Team 7 now up 2-0. Can they make it a third here? Looks to be the case, as Jesse
Milling
does.
2 Imseti, by the way, so all 3 Imseti are in the graveyard. And we do want to remind you, I mean, of course we talked about it, but Team 7 lost to Team Snipehunters last year in this exact same situation. They're hungry for this win. Obviously, Snipehunters wants to run it back, be the 2-time world champion, but Team 7 have been spending all year thinking about this moment, and here they are. They are back facing the exact same team. Not even just the opportunity to win the world championship instead of getting second place like last year, but the opportunity to actually show Snipehunters what they've been doing all year.
Yeah, it's like a Rocky training montage. You got a year to get back in shape and come out and really show, like, this is the World Championship. I want to take this home.
And a really prominent team, Team 7, Snipehunters as well, very accomplished, but the individual components of each team are superstars in their own right. Joshua Schmidt, one of the most prominent educational Yu-Gi-Oh! Content creators and players. Jesse Cotton as well, very prominent player, with those two basically rivaling each other for success in tournaments.
But you know what always happens, and I'm willing to put Calpico on the line for it. I bet you, if there is a sweep here, we will see a reverse sweep from Snipehunters, and it will tie it up. Every single time we've asked the duelists to raise it to the next level, they always do it. They always do it. They always take it to the third set.
Yeah, Snipehunters very, very reliable when it comes to those clutch moments, so we may very well see that. Ryan as well for Team 7, very, very prominent player. Did get a lot of shout-outs from the other players in that survey that was published in-game. Really commands respect from everybody. Quantal, Emre, very consistent for Snipehunters. You're seeing it now. Emre still in this one, while Ray managed to win his game and is, again, just a force for Team 7.
This is an interesting board state because you got 4 in hand and the board isn't, it's not like it's a broken board. They both can build from this. And knowing 4 unknown cards,
Didn't really hit anything with the Scream. I think this is a pretty interesting situation. We've dismantled the board, we've built the board, and I think that Emery is in a rough position.
Snipehunters managed to beat Jesse on Telements last year. Telements this year, an entirely different beast. You have the Horus filling in a couple of gaps in that deck, but it is still a tall order to defeat Jesse this time around.
I think it is, you know, Team 7 would love to win this 3-0, of course, because that would mean heading into the next game, if they only won 2 out of 3, they would just instantly win the World Championship without even having to go to a third set. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. That is just something that's probably on their minds right now. I'm sure Jesse's thinking about that because he knows his teammates have both won their first set.
I feel like if I'm going to continue the movie idea, my sequel in Seattle kind of needs it to go to set 3. If it ends after 2, they're not going to get us another movie.
Oh man, you think best 2 out of 3 World Championships?
It's gotta be. I mean, come on. You have a rematch after a whole year. You want this to go to Game 9.
Going to see the Keldo actually triggering the Planeteer, which is very strong, popping the face down Baldrake. And it looked like Emery actually had access to all 3 Bastille, well, actually all 4 Bastilles. We've seen all 4 of them so far.
So that also suggests that there was no branded deck under consideration here because the Telements deck would eat a lot of the resources. The Centurion also eats a lot of the resources that the branded deck needs to function. And it shows that Snipehunters' investment in the decks that they've chosen could potentially be rewarded here, but not if Jesse Cotton has anything to say about it.
We do see the Druid Swarm activated to force the Fairy Tale Snow. SP Little Knight is going to be chained, targeting itself and the Magnemite. Let's see if there's a chain on the other side. Nope. Okay, we have the Fairy Tale Snow getting chained here. What are we banishing? I think there's like a million cards in the graveyard, yeah. I mean, that was almost all spells anyway.
All of
probably
them,
even more
spell and
activations.
traps.
Now, it's interesting to see here. It seems like those were almost like 2 little bait interactions. What does Emery actually have? Because that's not the full plan. That's just kind of like, okay, I'm getting you to use my activations. What does he do with
We got the Trudea right here.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
exactly,
Centurion
right?
Trudea is a good starting point for any Centurion combo. Will allow you further access to some of the in-engine cards and hopefully, eventually, access to a level 10 Synchro monster.
What are some of your favorite level 10 synchros?
Baron de Fleur?
Always in forever?
It's on there. Psychic Hand Punisher is also level 10?
That's level 11.
Or 11.
Yeah.
11.
So we see the Primera get put to the back row and activate its effect as well. That is going to get stopped by the Baron de Fleur.
Which makes
or attempts
sense.
to be stopped. Now, I will say, from this position, Jesse, at least in terms of we don't know what's in his hand here, he might actually be kind of low on interactions. We've used the Snow, we've used the Baron. It looks like we don't have a Haveness, I would say. What are we thinking from Emery's perspective? I mean, he's used something. Oh, we do have the Gargoyle in hand. Maybe this can get us somewhere.
Level 8 as well means that there's access to the level 12.
I think we're going for
Synchros.
Typhon.
Yeah, probably going for the Typhon to buy an extra turn.
Yep. Typhon being pretty interesting right here because it will prevent the Baron from being, activating its effect. And that is good. It doesn't have the negation, but it does have the destruction effect. We're going to bounce that right back. That will trigger the Blessing of Horus.
Duel Matef.
Oh, yep. For a draw 3.
Yeah, not really what you want to be doing, but it is what it is. I'm not sure what we can really do to get out of this situation.
Stand-up Centurion is actually a very, very good starting point for the Centurion combo. Again, we mentioned how good Trudea was. Really, really well played by Emre to be able to be as resilient as he has been. But it's still very difficult for the Centurion deck to come back here. 6 cards in hand now for Jesse Cotton.
And also keep in mind that Jesse can pretty much instantly put the Fairy Tale Snow into the graveyard if he wants to. We see the activation of Tearlament's Grief, such a powerful card. This didn't really see a ton of play as far as I know in the TCG when full power Tearlaments were around, but in Master Duel specifically, this is such a great addition, just giving you even more consistency. Summoning the Shyren, activating the effect by sending it to the graveyard. We can choose to summon for pretty much whatever we want here. We are going to get met with a Bestial Druisworm. But now, from Jesse's perspective, all of Emery's cards are known. They're all face up. He knows exactly what to play into, and I think that is a huge advantage, especially from Emery's position. He's probably looking at 5 unknowns in hand and not looking very happy.
Yeah, Jesse Cotton, 5 cards in hand, 4 now, 7 in deck, and so many in the graveyard. The Tearlament's really doing a lot of work here.
Trying to do the quick math. You got 7 over there, you got 4 over there. What, we still got 20 more cards in the graveyard?
Quite a bit, actually.
4 cards in deck now. 3.
With the Scream sending 3 and the Kashtira Tearlament sending 2 more. I mean, this is just so much. Was that another snow that we just spilled?
1 card in deck.
Yeah. That is, that is a little scary. I don't want to pretend like that doesn't matter at all. Obviously, I think that Jesse's in a position here where he can probably assemble enough damage to win. But potentially, 1 card in deck, you could look into a deck out. He did deck out one of his opponents, so it would only be fitting. But let's see, the Fairy Tale Snow is going to flip the Typhon face down. And now we pretty much have the world at our disposal here. Because remember, the Fairy Tale Snow, of course, is not a once per turn at all. Not per copy, not per, whatever. So you can just keep using it over and over again. And if you have a graveyard as loaded as Jesse's, you can kind of just keep summoning Link monsters, Xyz monsters, whatever you want.
Indeed, a lot of extension opportunities for Jesse Cotton here, and here is one of them.
Link 4. Appaloosa, perhaps?
Or Access Code Talker? Nope. Topologic Zerberus.
Okay, we have not seen this one for a minute. 9,400 attack points, by the way. It gains attack based on banished cards, which is huge. And also, don't forget that Jesse actually has a ton of Horus monsters in grave as well, which is very powerful. We're going to chain the SP Little Knight to the field spell being activated, taking out the Trudea.
And thereby denying the ability to actually Synchro Summon.
Yeah, so now we're just facing down Bestial Druis for him, basically. 5,600 life points. That's going to be game right there. 98, 2,000. So Team 7 has gone 3-0 in the first round. You have to imagine that is a huge confidence boost, and they're probably feeling very good heading into the second set.
Snipehunters backs against the wall, but we've seen them come back from more difficult situations than this. Team 7 really well played in that first round of games and will enter the second set with 3-0 on the scoreboard.
But like we said, these people, they know when they are 3 games back, they're going to play harder, they're going to play stronger, they're going to communicate right now, they're going to figure out how they want to approach it. I think we're finally going to get some deck switching.
I'm also really looking forward to see that Jesse Cotton versus Quantal mirror match on the Tearlament's deck. I know that it's basically, at this point, just a race to who can Xyz summon Abyss Dweller first, but it's still super exciting to see.
And I will note here, I mean, I know Quantal in his post-match interview for the semifinals mentioned Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller was not actually in every Tearlament deck. It was actually not in the majority of them, I'm pretty sure. So that was something that, people were really on last format. I think even people were playing 2 copies of it. This format, though, maybe not as popular. You might not have as much of extra deck space as you did last year. And if you don't have enough level 4s, especially, you might not consider playing it, but so powerful into a number of matchups. I think almost every time we've seen Abyss Dweller summoned, it has won the game instantly.
Oh my god, yeah. For all the decks, all these current decks that are making it into the finals, every single one of them relies on the graveyard. You turn that off, you turn off the whole deck.
I think Flunderies could stand against it.
You are right. Flunderies is the probably only one. And Dimension Shifter by itself could completely shut off a deck and turn the game around.
That being said, having just seen the Centurion from Emre fall to the Tillemans from Jesse, it means we won't get to see Flunderies versus Tillemans here.
That is a sad state of affairs for us.
One thing that I think is kind of interesting is that because we have started this off with Team 7 at 3-0, is that if we potentially win in the set 2, you will miss out on 3 of the matchups. They won't actually all completely play each other, so you have to think about, and we don't actually know at this moment what the next matchups are going to be, but they certainly do, and they're thinking about what decks am I going against. We are at the last round of the tournament. They know what their opponents have. They know what, 2 decks they have up their sleeve, although I still think that, I'm not even sure if Quantil has switched off tier elements this entire tournament. He's just the master. Why bother switching, right?
I also don't think Jesse Cotton has swapped off of Tillemans so far, so both of these Tillemans duelists are really the ones to watch here, thanks to the amount of prowess that they have with that deck.
And you said they are both running Abyss Dweller as well?
I believe so.
Isn't that kind of like Superman running around with a box of kryptonite? It's their own thing.
You might say that.
Yeah, right?
You might say that, but I think it is pretty interesting if we do see a Tierlemans mirror match here, and I think that Fluanda Rees for Emery could be a good option. He's not going to necessarily be playing against Tierlemans, could be playing against Snake Eyes, could be playing against Ubel, but just in general, Dimension Shifter I think is good against almost any deck in the format, and I think it could give you, it's a nice card to draw that it pretty much just gives you an instant win if you have a combo to back it up.
I'm going to say it right now. I think one card that could have changed the outcome of many of these duels, and you'll call me crazy, Ebers, Sphere Mode. If anyone had Sphere Mode at any given time, a complete 180. Don't you agree? Tell me more.
I will tell you more about some of the other stuff I'm excited for in this series.
You have zero excitement for Sphere Mode?
I have some excitement for Sphere Mode, but what I'm also excited about is Vanquish Soul being the secondary deck of choice for Ryan Yu. I don't know if he will choose it here because Fire King Snake Eye is just so strong that we haven't seen many of the duelists that do choose that. Pivot off of it, but Vanquish Soul has a good matchup into a lot of these decks that would otherwise present an issue for these teams.
And it's also a deck that can and usually does play Dimensional Shifters. So we're talking about why Fluanda Rees is so good, and that is one of the main reasons. Vanquish Soul is also a deck that can play Shifter too, and it attacks the board in a variety of ways. You have a quick play spell, which is nice. They're resilient to, dealing with lots of different pieces of interaction because they have so many different points that they can deal with the opponent's cards.
Sphere Mode in Seattle. It's going to happen.
Also, the ability to tag out is really unique to the Vanquish Soul cards. We don't see too many cards like that, and I think
Gladiator Beasts.
That's normally, that's a little slower than the Vanquish
Okay.
Souls. I think Vanquish Souls are kind of like, the UA archetype, but a little bit better than that. Being able to swap out for other copies of the Vanquish Souls in the hand is so powerful for dodging effects and keeping your opponent on their toes. Not to mention that the Vanquish Soul cards work really well with the Kashtira cards, which I'm sure we'll see in the Vanquish Soul decks if we do see that pop up.
And for anyone just tuning in that was confused to hear us talk about Gladiator Beasts and Vanquish Soul and Sphere Mode, apparently.
Year is 2012.
This is the grand finals of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2024 Master Duel category, a rematch of our 2023 finals between North America's Team 7 and Europe's Snipe Hunters, the reigning champions. But those reigning champions currently 3-0 down in this series.
Ibers, I think they want to hear you say it. Come on, some of our potential movie titles. Pick one. Which one?
What do you think is going through the head of Team Snipe Hunters right now? Because they've been in this position. We've seen it happen in, I think, almost all the feature matches. And we are about to jump into the games here. But just real quick, what do you think is going on in their minds as they're heading into this? They know that they have to win. They want to get 3-0. I mean, they want to get the back to a 3-0, right? They want to take this at 3 and force it to be, as close as possible. But let's see what happens.
Yep, they just have to reset. They have to focus, and they have to do their best to take this in set 2 of our grand finals. Snipe Hunters taking on Team 7. And we'll be focusing on Jesse Cotton versus Josh.
I mean, this is a big matchup right here. All the matchups in this are going to be pretty big, but Josh versus Jesse, this is where it's at. Let's see what we're starting off with. A normal summon Mudora and a pass. I don't think you could, other than an actual literal pass, I don't think there is a worse opening for Tillemans. Now, you never know. There could be a Chillman's Cashier in hand. I mean, I feel like that probably would have been activated. There could be a Havness in hand, possibly. There could be Maxi. Maxi's really dangerous if you are playing Chillman's because they have so many of those quick effects that they can draw into. Let's see what happens.
Do want to be a bit careful about overextension into the Tailorments as well, but there goes the Infinite Impermanence immediately.
That is rough. Jesse's not looking happy about that. I can imagine he's not. We see the one of Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils getting activated here. Haven't seen a lot of this weekend because it is hit in Master Duel, but Diabellstar, obviously an incredibly powerful card. We're going to be able to get to the original Sinful Spoils, and it seems like Josh's hand is pretty strong.
Yeah, Wanted getting you to Diabellstar, Diabellstar getting you to the original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye, as you mentioned, and original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye then getting you to the Fire King Ponix.
I can't tell if this is just a five-headed play by Jesse because he's not even paying attention to his own game, so maybe he's got extra cards in there, or if Josh is just going to be able to combo off uninterrupted, and this wasn't one of those unfortunate bricks that you can build a house with.
It does seem like, we do get that advantage. I mean, it passed back to Jesse for just a moment there, but it seems like, Jesse probably doesn't have too much. I think by now, he would have activated Ash, he would have activated Maxi. We can certainly say that, and it's not looking great. Now, the Medora play was the best that he could have done. When we watch these great players, we know that they are trying to play to their outs. Like, you might not necessarily draw a good hand, or, I mean, even a playable hand at this point.
They're all going to play the best hand that they can possibly
play. You got to try.
Yeah,
you got to try.
Whatever they can possibly have.
Even though you bricked, you don't know if your opponent, bricked or not either.
Which is very hard in this format sometimes, considering there are so many one-card starters when if you brick hard.
Seeing the Snake Eye Ash being summoned to add the legendary Fire King Ponix. Ponix is going to get a search here. I mean, we are really just firing on all cylinders against a Mudora vanilla monster. It's basically the old Mudora at this point.
Yep, Fire King Sanctuary then being added to then in turn add the Fire King Island, and things are going to get hot for Josh here with the Fire King build.
And I think what we see this time with the Snake Eyes field spell and the Fire King field spell is that this is the order that you want to do it. You want to get the Snake Eyes field spell out there and then the Fire King Island, not the other way around like we saw Josh had to do last round.
But this is okay, and it's honestly okay for Jesse to check out in this game and help his two fellow teammates because they just need 2 wins. If they want to win, his game obviously would be great, but it's not necessary. So if you can just let Josh build a board combo and completely dominate it, it's really more on what your teammates are doing.
You say just need 2 wins, but Emre now with the Centurion start has honestly looking like he's got a very, very easy time
But
of
do you
it.
see the Harpy's Feather Duster that is resolving for 5? I mean, obviously the Centurion back row cards can chain, and which was what we're seeing here, to special summon themselves, but 5 back row we are taking out. How many times have we seen like the Heavy Storm, the Duster this weekend? Quite a bit, and that is rough. I mean, they are one-ofs, but you got to draw cards in your deck sometimes.
If you Chimera and Trudea now coming out alongside the field spell, all 3 of the starting pieces of the combo now ready for Emre to follow up on with the Centurion, but it still does not feel good to have everything else taken away by that Harpy's Feather Duster.
If you look closely, you can literally see
Cosmic Cyclone as well.
Cyclone on the, I mean, that is like game losing potentially. I don't think you could really, I mean, Duster plus Cosmic against Centurion, you are cutting them off of everything. Let's see what we can do here.
If you Ryan actually, I believe, has just taken down Quantal in
Oh my gosh, that
duels.
puts so much pressure on Ray here and Emery. Emery has to hold on to have a chance. We cannot afford to lose any games on the side of Team snipehunter.
Ray's playing the Pearly deck.
We're seeing my friend Pearly getting activated. Quite interesting. I mean, we've talked about Pearly before. We did see it yesterday, and I think it won a game and then it lost a game. But with Pearly, you can do so much from nothing and get so much advantage. The Noir with 8 material, 10 material, it gets you. It's so strong. It's very difficult to deal with that from a more simplified game state.
And kind of as expected that we were going to see that red team, Snipehunters, taking complete control on that bottom and getting their first W on the board.
So Ray from this position knows if he wins this, he will be a world champion for Master Duel. And we have everything we want, right? We have the My Friend Pearly, we have this Stray, we are discarding for that. I'm not actually sure what trap we just discarded there. Maybe a Yeep. Summoning the Pearlily. Let's see where this goes.
Emre put Snipehunters on his back on day 1. He was so good for them, winning 12 of his individual duels. He was so good yesterday, but can he replicate that today and keep his team in the grand finals?
Interesting play here. So we are going to go the Pearly to add Pearly to our hand, so we must not have another spell in the hand to special summon the Pearly. And what I like about this situation is that even if you can't quite win, although we are going for Happiness here, Happiness is one of the cards that can let Pearly like actually, you know, find game. But Pearly, you know, if we can't secure the win, Emery will get potentially a turn or
Effect
two.
Veiler.
Effect Veiler on the Pearly is crazy strong right here.
Did you say Emery won 12 of his games?
He did.
12 out of it. He's got an 80% win percentage.
I believe so.
Oh my god. All right. If anyone can get this, it's him.
Okay, so we are going straight to battle phase. Maybe not the board that Ray was looking to assemble. Now, we will potentially be able to go for a Zeus here with 5 million material, which could be pretty good, but even Zeus by itself isn't necessarily enough to like win the game outright. We are adding the Pearly Delicious Memory to hand, which is great because now we have another way to summon another Pearly. Remember that Pearly, of course, is not a once per turn effect. And still in the battle phase, we will be doing that. Great choice. That is going to trigger the Happiness effect as well to bounce. This is looking pretty good for Ray. It's not looking perfect. I think this really still is anyone's game. Like I said, Pearly doesn't necessarily win super fast, but let's see what happens.
Primera here, going to be sent to the graveyard or not?
Triggering the Happiness. Adding a Happy Memory. Is this enough damage? I'm trying to count here.
Actually, Primera's still there.
Well, yeah, it's protected. I mean, this is like the combo that you want with the Happiness. You target it, you attack it a bunch of times.
Yep.
Do we have enough? I'm trying to do the math. I think it might just be game. Let's see here. We're at 3,200 attack. The Primera is at 400. We can hit it again.
If this is game, then that means Team 7 will be your world champions for the 2024 Master Duel category, but let's see.
I think it will be, right? Because we're at 31 now. It's going to go to 200. This is going to go up to, what, 34, I think? I think this is just game. Let's see. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Going up to 35. This is just game right here. We see the Pearly Happiness being so strong, one of Pearly's best ways to actually close out the game, and that's Team 7 taking it.
Team 7 are your Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2024 Master Duel World Champions.
Incredible. You know, we had a sequel in Seattle, and we're having a different winner this time around. That is awesome to see. Two excellent competitors going head-to-head, but they came out wanting blood.
They waited 1 year to come back for it, and they have proven that they could do it.
This was what it was all about. You know, we saw all three of these players talking online about what was going into this final match. This was a huge deal, running it back, getting a second opportunity to face the exact same team in the finals. And both of these competitors did so well throughout the weekend, some of the best players in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!, not just Master Duel. And it was excellent to see this final rematch. Maybe we'll see it again next year as well. But for right now, let's take a look at Team 7. Here they go, showing some good sportsmanship here. All these people are friends. You know, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community is so great. It's not always about just beating the opponent. It's about the camaraderie.
Look at that.
6 of the best players in the world here, you have to imagine, and also 6 of the most prominent figures within the community as well.
Absolutely. Their accomplishments insurmountable. So even though you take second place here, that is a heck of an accomplishment.
Jesse Cotton, Ray Dye, Ryan Yu are now world champions for the 3v3 Master Duel. This is an incredible moment for North America, and what a match we just saw. 5-1, played that so well. This is what it's all about. This is the type of story that you love to see in any game, but especially Yu-Gi-Oh!
You can't help but get a little emotional for him because this is something you had a grueling day yesterday, 5 rounds, 10+ hours, and to come back today with a W feels good.
And we can confirm that the winning team, Team 7, their decks will be available to use in the Duel Trial starting from September 13th in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. So you too can play like a champion.
Are we going to get potential coaching help from them?
If you ask nicely.
I might have to ask nicely.
And what do you think is going through their heads right now? What a moment. It has all been leading up to this. I mean, I know that we've watched this tournament, and of course it was 5 rounds and then 2 rounds today, but it's not just about this one weekend. It's about qualifying. It's about the prep. It's about the deck decisions. Like we've said multiple times this weekend, the 3v3 Master Duel tournament is so unique compared to any other format in Yu-Gi-Oh! Even the 3v3 TCG, where you can use whatever cards you want, this 6-deck format, the shared card pool, it all takes so much thought power to actually go into actually trying to try to win. What an incredible run.
Additionally, on that teammate topic, just, you know, they came so close last year, but to stick together throughout this one, to trust in each other, to get over the line this time, and to take the finals in such a convincing and dominant fashion.
I think it's one of those things too, it doesn't just start here. It starts when you pick your teammates, you pick your deck, you start training. This isn't just a weekend like you were saying, this is months in advance, you gotta qualify. It's a year of excitement building up and culminating to this one point, so I'm very happy for everyone.
And very hard fought. Again, both of these teams heading into the finals were only second in their groups. They did not have the best showing on day one, but they certainly showed up on day two. They did such a good job of making it through the semi-finals, and they put on such a good series of duels here. Let's hear some more from your world champions, Team 7, here on stage.
Thank you very much, casters. I'm live on the player stage with Team 7, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel World Champions. For the second year ever that Master Duel has been present at WCS, you pick up the win, which was a rematch. So Ray, I want to start off revenge against last year's champions, as this was the sequel in Seattle. What was the difference this year?
I feel like we definitely wanted it a lot more this time. Still feeling the emotions, but we put in a lot of work, a lot of late nights, and I want to thank Ryan for bringing me back.
今回が2回目の、マスターデュエルの世界大会となっており、去年のリベンジを果たしたというところとなっておりますが、今回、その気持ちについてお聞かせくださいということで、彼としては、去年より今年の方がやはりもっとこの優勝が非常に欲しかったと言っております。そしてこの仲間のライアンにものすごい感謝の言葉を述べたいと。
It was awesome to have the band back together. Jesse, we'll bring you up next for the question. Thank you so much, Ray. Jesse, if you can walk over here. What a year that you've had, and I want to start off with that. The UDS ring, do you have it on you? Are you wearing it? The UDS Undisputed Champion.
It is very heavy, so I don't really wear it, but I do have it in my pocket here. I'll slip it on.
As well as winning a YCS. There we go, you got the ring. I just want to give you an opportunity to reflect on your year individually and then what this means to win this World Championship and end your year like this with the team.
Getting second last year, while we obviously were super proud of it, it was also like anything in all of our careers, where people who, when we get knocked down, get back up and fight harder. So this last year was fighting super hard to get there. I mean, I've won 2 YCSs on top of that as well. Like, it was nonstop. We got to practice and make sure we can get back there.
今年は、何度も他の大会など、UDS や YCS や他の大会など優勝して、今年はすごい1年となっておりましたが、それらを振り返って今回はどうでしたというところでした。今回のやつとしてもいろいろと、2回目というところでいろいろ努力して、これまでにも2回も YCS の方を優勝してここに来ておりましたが、それも勝てて非常に良かったと言っております。
Thank you so much, Jesse. Now it's time to bring up the team captain, Ryan, holding the trophy. Well deserved, well earned. And I want to start off by going back 1 year. Last year in the finals, you weren't able to pick up a win for the team, but this year as team captain, you qualify in, you get the band back together. And I just want to ask, if you could get a time machine, go back 1 year to talk to yourself after that finals, what would you say to yourself to give encouragement for this year?
I would say, like any good team, I was lucky to have Jesse and Ray to help work through the loss. I remember Jesse specifically told me that you have to get back up, and then we started practicing. Like, as soon as we got home from Worlds last August, we decided, even before they announced that there would be Duelist Cups to qualify for Worlds, to make the system a bit like more forgiving, we decided like we're gonna practice year-round to win the WCQ. So we were testing like hours every day leading up to October and December. So I'm just really glad that we decided to try again.
We are too.
去年は残念な結果に終わってしまいましたが、今回の大会ではチームリーダーとして出場し、それで優勝もして今トロフィーを持っていると思いますが、去年の自分に伝えたいことなど、去年の自分と比べて自分はどうかっていうところはいかがでしょうかという質問でございました。それで、去年いろいろありましたが、ちょっと仲間たちと一緒に仲間がいろいろ励ましてくれ、それで今年に向けてもいろいろと仲間と一緒に準備をしたとのことです。そして、もうこの世界大会の予選のところからもう一年中練習をずっと続け、彼らに励まされここまで来たと言っております。
And final question, Ryan, as team captain, what message would you like to give to all the fans out there that were cheering you and the team on along your journey to this World Championship?
Just thank you to everyone, especially my family and friends. My mom, hi mom. Yeah, I'm just really grateful for everyone's support.
やはり、チームキャプテンとして優勝おめでとうございます。そして、皆さんに応援してくれているみんなに何か言いたいことはありますかというところで、やはり仲間だったり応援してくれている人みんなありがとうございます。そして自分のお母さんありがとうと言っております。
Thank you so much, everybody. Once again, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel World Champions! And with that said, we're going to send it back over to the casters.